Hello, and welcome to Manga Mommies.
A podcast where we chat about, you guessed it, mangas, and occasionally our lives as parents.
Nice to meet you all. I'm Kyo,
And I'm Kel.
and we are your host on the show. We hope you're having a great Monday. So please, would you kindly get a drink, take a seat, and let's chat?
Hello, everyone. Today we're going to talk a little bit about the history of manga, which will lead into the question of the day. Now, please be warned that we will not be going deep into the depths of the history and timelines, but if you wish to learn more, there are links below of our cited finds, but you can also look up fun facts for yourself. Moving on. Let's start with the word itself. Manga refers to two kanji words, mon, standing for entertainment or exaggerated, and ga, which can be interpreted as drawing or image. Roughly translated, manga itself can be defined as a quick sketch or rough drawing or cartoon. However, in America and the rest of the Western world, the term is just simply defined as Japanese comics. In comparison to Western comics, mangas are read in reverse, back to front, right to left, which is why if you didn't know, when you're on the first opening of the manga, the front page has a big stop sign and goes on to explain to you that you're about to enter the end of the story, and it could be spoiled. Every fan has their own favorite for sure. Some prefer those dealing with romance, while others prefer business or even commerce, sports, etc. Everything is up to the reader.
Exactly. So these are a few of the categories manga can fall into. Kimono manga, which is for children. Examples include Pokemon, Beyblade, Cardcaptor Sakura, Digimon, and Hamtaro.
Love me some Pokemon.
Yeah, Pokemon, Beyblade, all the first, but Hamtaro, no, I can't. Like, I get why they have fandom, but the Gitchy, I can't stand. I can't. There's no actual, it's like, look at the colors. I mean, I don't know how to explain it. It's just not my cup of tea. The characters are cute. I had little eraser figurines of the characters back in school because they looked cute on the end of my pencil, but no, I wasn't the
Yep.
biggest fan of Hamtaro.
No, I don't think I ever really got too much into that one either. I remember watching a little bit of Card Captors because I believe they did have the anime of it when I was younger. Beyblade, yeah. Digimon, definitely.
Digimon and Pokemon were the two big ones for me.
Yep.
Pokemon, I was the one that only really liked Pikachu at the time. And everybody's like, oh, that's the trope one. No one really likes him until you get to know the other ones. And I'm like, no, Pikachu's badass. He's my favorite. He'll always be my favorite.
Mm-hmm.
And Jigglypuff. And Psyduck. Yeah, I'm the oddball.
Hey, I ain't poke shaming in this household.
Okay.
There's no poke shame here.
Let's see. Let's move on. Next up is shonen manga, which is for teenagers or early adolescents, I guess is what you would typically put it as. Examples would be Naruto, Full Metal Alchemist, One Piece, and Dragon Ball.
All classics.
They all are, yeah. Yeah, I've never went past the first season of Naruto. I've never went past the first season of One Piece. Full Metal Alchemist and Dragon Ball. Dragon Ball Z are the two that I've actually watched. Now I do need to watch Super, but I ignore GT. Never existed in my eyes. I think that's the majority of people's thoughts on it.
I watched the original till I was like 11, and then I stopped watching Dragon Ball. And
Ooh.
it just, yeah. So I'm like the OG Dragon Ball stuff, and then everything after. It's been a hot minute, and I'm like, I don't even know. I might tell you some of the characters, but that's all I got.
Yeah, I can get that.
Full Metal Alchemist is on my to-do list. My long to-do list. One of these days when I have a little bit of time off, maybe I'll sit down with it.
Well, it's better to read the manga than try to go back to watch the anime first because there is two versions of that anime. So I would go and just read the book. It's just a lot easier. It's really good though.
Yeah, that's what I hear.
Yeah, it's got a really good story. Next we have shoujo manga, which was mainly for young girls, focusing on love and friendship. Examples were Red River, Sailor Moon, Skip Beat, and Vampire Knight.
I do know Sailor Moon. I was a Sailor Moon junkie with the anime.
Did you watch it before you knew it was an anime? That's usually the concept.
So I watched it thinking it was just a completely normal cartoon that came on. I can't remember if it was Cartoon Network or Nickelodeon or what it was, but it was just on with the after school cartoons like everything else was. So we knew, hey, Sailor Moon's coming on. You better get to the TV because that's how you're going to watch it. And it didn't occur to me until much, much later that it was an anime and there was even a manga attached to it. I had no idea until I was probably in high school that there was a manga of it.
Yeah, so for me, Sailor Moon, it was about the same. Sailor Moon was I first saw it as what I would think was just a regular everyday cartoon on Cartoon Network. So it was part of, I think, one of the lineups with the original Toonami, but I'm not 100 on that one. I know it was in the lineup at some point, but I don't remember if it was the original lineup or not. I really did like it a lot. Red River, I've read. Skip Beat, I've read. Vampire Knight, I've read. Sailor Moon, I've read. So I've read all of those.
Yeah, Vampire Knight was one that sounded interesting, and I put it on my to-do list that may never get done, but that one caught my attention.
It's good, but it's got some interesting theme around
As all
its, I guess you could say, storyline.
as all the great ones seem to.
Yeah.
Remember, folks, sippy sippy.
Jesus.
So, I didn't have a way to segue in me opening this can. Like, there's no way I can do this quietly.
It's fine. It's fine. I was just like, "What you talking about sippy sippy? What that blood or something? What the hell is that?" And then it's just like, and I was like, "Oh, she opened up a can of facts. I don't know, a can of
It's a
soda.
can of Monster Energy drink because
Not
I
sponsored.
am not caffeine sensitive. No,
Not sponsored. Not sponsored. Not sponsored."
it's a can of miscellaneous energy drink.
It's not.
I won't disclose it until we get a sponsorship.
Over here, just like, yeah, just a can, and you were like, it's Monster, and I was like, thanks for that.
You're welcome.
Damn.
Oh no.
And she spilt it.
No, that was my insert brand name here cookie. Thank you so much. I opened it up because it's more fun to eat the middle first. And then one of the ends fell down and I got very sad.
I feel that. Yeah.
Everything is fine.
Right.
I'm not caffeine sensitive and it just tastes good.
Normally I'm not, but that coffee concoction really messed me up.
Well, I mean, you were just trying to harness the power of the ancestors through copious
It hit
amounts of
hard.
caffeine. They spoke to you through the heart palpitations.
Wasn't even heart palpitations. It was just ooh. Ooh. It was the espresso shots that did me in.
Yeah.
I think it was 3 tablespoons of the instant espresso powder that I added to it, which was probably what did me in because 3 of those was probably what, 4 espresso shots?
Yeah.
4 or 5?
I
An
feel like
ungodly
at
number.
least 4.
Ooh, and it was a big glass too.
It was like a big gulp cup.
Ooh.
Large quantities of caffeine.
Yeah, so next in is seinen manga. It's for young adults, covers more realistic subjects with various themes. Examples of that would be Berserk, Chobits, Trigun, and Sayuki.
I've heard of Trigun. I haven't heard of any of the others though.
Really? That's surprising you haven't heard of Chobits.
Nope.
Chobits was one of the bigger ones back then.
I mean, I guess that's what kind of comes with being a little bit later to the game.
Well, Chobits is about a robot girl, and it's I'm not gonna get into like where like craziness is, but her reset button was a little weird, if I'm right. Let me Google that real quick because I think that's right. It's been a minute since I've
I feel like I can imagine.
watched or read it, so yeah, it's kind of surprising you hadn't heard of it because it's part of the Clamp franchise. But I don't know if
Nope.
you even know the
This
Clamp franchise, do you?
I do not.
Angelic Lair, XX Holic, all those.
Nope.
There's more, but I don't want to sit here and list all of them. I
Well, it
remember
is
that
young
much because it
adults.
was kind of shocking because the boy who finds her has to figure that out, and I'm just like, oh dear. It's very good. All clamp mangas, very good. In a way, I was kind of surprised you hadn't heard of that. Let's see, Berserk. You've heard of Berserk, haven't you?
If you count us talking about this in the previous recording, yes. But
No,
other
I
than
remember
like
you
a
saying
very
something
quick
that you had.
synopsis, no.
Okay,
No, I was it Berserk? No, I don't think it was Berserk. I think it was
Dragon that you heard of.
I feel like I was talking about like yeah, I'd heard of Trigun and I'd seen that and I read a little bit of the manga. I had seen like How to Pick Up Girls in a Dungeon and I think we were talking about is it Goblin Slayer? I don't remember. But like
I just thought you said that you'd heard
I've
of it. I don't
heard the
remember. But
name like in passing, maybe, but I definitely heard of it because we semi talked about it the last time we tried to record this. But for the most part, not enough beyond the name to actually know what it's about.
yeah. So for our audience that are a little confused at the moment, the first recording that we had done of this backfired due to problems on my end. And I don't know what happened. It just happened. So if you hear us referring to that, that's what happened.
This is take 2.
Of what, 165? No, I'm just kidding.
Don't you jinx us like that.
No, 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 no. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. But yeah, no, I had some issues on my end, recording wise. I don't have an official office yet because I'm still redoing some of my house. So it's hopefully I'll get into the office soon and it'll be a lot better because I don't have to worry about equipment moving randomly and stuff like that.
Mhm.
But yeah, for the most part, Berserk's a good one. It's not for your Bean. It's not for Bean at all. But if he ends up wanting to look into more of that end manga as he gets older, I would say Trigun, Sayuki, Shubits is good. It's got some risky parts, but it's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely steer him towards things that I've already read through at least a little bit, so I know what's in there.
Yeah. No, 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 I get
Bean
that.
might be bigger than me, but he is definitely not there yet.
Right. So
So, what's Sayuki about?
So Sayuki is going to be about the great travel to the west. It's an old story. Pretty much what it means. Travel to the west. It's not really. Plus, my brain don't want to work at the moment. But
That's
Sayuki's
fair.
got a few mangas. It's got a few animes. It's kind of a hidden gem in a way because it never really got big popular in the U.S. One of the mangas I think was released only in Japan, if I'm correct. I may not be. My favorite part of the anime wise was always the or English subbed because one of the I wouldn't really even call him a bad guy, but one of their opposing foes is one of the demons that does magic spells. There's one spell that he's like keep repeating. At one point he goes kitty 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 kitty, and it's hilarious. Just I would replay it over and over and over and over, and I think I would probably just like randomly say it back when I was in school because I was really big on Sayuki. But it was just
I can just
kitty kitty.
imagine you walking down the halls chanting that.
Yeah, kitty 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 kitty.
People are like, "What's wrong with her, man?"
Yeah, and it's just so random. You hear it, you're like, whoa.
Like, what in the
It's great. And yeah, Trigun was my second favorite out of that list because the man with the 60 billion double dollar bounty on his head. So that one's really good. And the anime and the manga does have conflicting timelines for when certain characters get killed off. So I'm not gonna say who, I'm not gonna say what, because that's all spoilers. If you haven't read it, you need to read it slash maybe watch it. But
I mean, it just follows the theme of, why would the anime really line up with the mangas?
yeah. I mean, like I said, they've gotten better over the last few years of it. It's one of those things where it's just, I wish they'd have gotten on the ball that sooner,
Yeah.
but it's fine. Okay, so next up on the category list is Josei manga, which is the female version of seinen manga. Their examples were Citrus, Nana, and Paradise Kiss. Also, you have Shonen Ai or Yaoi, which features romance between two male characters, and Sojoyai or Yuri, which describing of two female characters. However, these are subcategories in both the seinen or josei.
Makes sense. Yes.
I don't really have much to say in those examples because I actually have never read those. So,
No, neither have I.
I mean, I would love to read them, and I probably will have them on my list at some point to read them. Especially, I've heard really good things about all three of them, but mostly Paradise Kiss is really good. I think I may have read Nana at one point, but I don't think it's enough to actually trigger a memory of what it's about.
Fair.
If I'm right, I only read like maybe one or two of the manga because it was probably a friend's. Any of those three you wanted to particularly?
Nope, I have heard of none of them. So I have to respectfully decline any commentary on any of them beyond I think I've heard of Nana before, but again, I don't know anything about them.
Well, all fans of the Josei manga, we apologize because obviously we failed y'all in every way.
We
So.
will aim to correct that in the foreseeable future. We will pick one and we will read it as a sincere
Oh, I'm
apology.
sure. I'm sure there's a few that I have actually, read and heard of. It just wasn't in the list, and I went through kind of like doing the research. I kind of did examples through a few sources that were like the top mangas from a few years to this year. So it's kind of all-time favorites.
Mhm.
Oops, but that's fine. We can correct it. It's good. It's all good. It's all gravy. That's the point of living is to learn.
Exactly. I feel like I've heard of Honey and Clover. That's one that
That
pops
one's
up when
good.
I take a quick look. So that one apparently fits under the Josei manga series.
Yeah.
So, I mean, at least that's one of them that pops up. Okay. So technically, from my understanding and brief research, Fruits Basket another could fall under that.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's mostly that genre is mostly around strong female leads.
Makes sense.
Which again, I'm sure I have read in that genre. It's just the examples that I have are not, I guess, the greatest for me to talk about, which is fine. Can always be a manga of the month at some point or just a quick read if we decide to
Exactly.
start doing that. So the last would be the hentai manga. It's considered forbidden under 18 years old due to its strong suggestive adult themes. I know normally at this part I would tell you some examples. I'm not going to do that. So, heads up, we will not be picking or going over anything from this category in the future after this point, since we do have some manga that will get into themes that are higher rated than PG. And yeah, we both do cuss randomly. This is something that I will draw the line on. Thank you for understanding. And if you don't, gross and ew to you, not really. Read what you want to read. But let's move on.
All right, so if we take this back a little bit further, we can discuss the evolution of manga in Japan. So between 1862 and 1894, manga was a series of drawings and magazines used for propaganda purposes by the Japanese government. It was out only after the Second World War that this phenomenon exploded due to the influence of American comics, which allowed the modern idea of Western culture to slowly flow into the public speech and government critique.
In the 1900s, there was the introduction to the monthly shoujo manga. Imaizumi Ippo was the first comic artist to call his work manga. This change marked the meaning of caricature to a broader definition.
1910 to the 1920s, we see a boom in popularity of monthly girls' magazines.
In 1923, the first popular children's manga was written, Adventures of Shochan. By 1930, there was an increase in reading material due to an increase in literacy rates.
In 1933 to 1955, Redbook was created to give children a paper option to manga for cheap. However, in 1945, the Akasaka Association of Boys' Mothers had developed a three don't campaign: don't buy, don't read, don't look. Much like the book burnings, they believed manga was too violent and wanted to discourage the public, mainly parents, from buying it, especially for their kids. By 1950s, it became more common to rent manga than actually buy it.
Oh, I found that fact so interesting.
That one is pretty neat. I had absolutely no idea on that one.
Yeah, with my research, I was like, "Oh, okay." So it's pretty much and it was like the book burnings. Also the trying to ban comics for being too violent as well was big in America. I know the Tales from the Crypt, which is my
But
favorite horror,
those
by the way.
ones.
What?
I love those ones. It's like you'd sit
Yeah,
there and think that they're trying to ban Goosebumps.
that was another one. Goosebumps went after got after too because people were like, "It's too violent. It's too scary for kids. It's giving my child nightmares. I think it's demon possessed."
Or read the room and pick something that's appropriate for your child.
Yes, well,
Just kind of blows my mind sometimes.
and I mean, comic books did get away with a lot of violence in a way for a while. I think they still does because there's a lot of comics that I've collected that are. But yeah, the big one was that was from the Crypt comics. That's it. They were so good, and I even have I have all but the last season show as well because I love the Crypt Keeper.
Yeah, those were some of my
And
favorites growing up.
like the best thing about that is like it really didn't have much violence. Actually, I don't think it had any violence toward children because there was like one episode where it was like a psychotic killer got out of an asylum dressed as Santa Claus or whatever, went after some woman in her house and she had like a daughter or whatever, and he pops up at the end and he's just like, you may want to know what happened to her. Ah, well, little girl's fine. He liked older women. And I was like, oh. So I personally, the Crypt Keeper is my favorite character. But let's move on. In 1955, manga started to multiply and comic shops started to develop in Japan. Even though the manga market is booming, it is still criticized for being a bit childish. 2 years later, a new style reflecting darker realities was created, targeting a younger audience. The manga Gekiga was invented by Yoshihiro Tatsumi.
So in 1959, there was a publishing boom of the shonen manga. It was a struggle
I'm gonna
bus and a
wake up
half
in
on that one.
Yeah, it
Gonna
was.
wake up in the middle of the night.
Yeah, I'm gonna have like cold sweat.
It's manga PTSD. It's fine.
No, it's this podcast because I have to be perfect because I want my listeners to enjoy it and actually, not I wouldn't really honestly say learn something, but enjoy learning something new.
Hmm.
Or just enjoy fanning out that, oh my god, the manga of the month is what, I've read. Yeah, I feel included. That's kind of what I want.
Oh my God, me too.
Okay, no, not that. Not fangirl pick me. I can't.
What do you mean
Bad
I
enough
can't
that
do like the
it's bad.
entire podcast like this?
I will murder you. I will personally fly to your location.
I just
And
like open the door and you're there, you just smack me in the face and leave.
yeah, just pretty much just violence immediately.
Known her for years, didn't even say hi, slapped her in the face, turned around, went home.
No, I would at least have brought a present for your son. Would have probably been like, hey, here's some money for some ice cream. You might want to get some ice on that. And then I would go.
Your mother's a dick. Here's some ice cream. He just walks away.
And he'd be like, wow, I like her.
He would look at me and it would just be, "What did you do?" I did the voice, and knowing full well she has to edit that for a few hours, and she's gonna have to go in there and pick stuff out of it and hear the voice again, and it's just gonna re-traumatize her. I deserved the slap. I did. I deserved it.
Okay, so like middle rant here. All right, just middle rant for the lovely audience out there. The setup for this podcast has been nothing but a pain in the butt. And so have some of this other stuff with editing. Like, because I'm learning this as I go, pretty much. So, like, editing, first off, I accidentally hit a unknown button to me on my keyboard, and it jacked up the volume so high that it made me deaf for about a few hours. That was not fun. And then in making sure that the episodes get published on the sites that I want to, I had a unfortunate run-in with Apple. Nothing against them at all. They really worked hard with me to try to figure out the problem. But for some reason, it wouldn't let me make an account. It kept freezing. And then when they tried a second alternative through my phone, I got their coding software all over my phone popped up with their coding software. So then they had to have their supervisor call me the next day. Their supervisor put their supervisor on the phone because they didn't know what to do. And that supervisor just refreshed the account and it fixed the problem, whatever problem was going on that I still don't know to this day. So pretty much it was a version of did you plug it and unplug it in, but from their end and not my end because I wasn't doing nothing wrong. It was their system that was doing something wrong.
It did lead to a fun joke for a few days, whether or not you were gonna get arrested for having their background
Coding?
HTML code.
Yeah, I screenshot it and sent it to her. I was just like, "Look, this is what popped up when I tried to make the account." And she was just like, "That's not good." And I'm like, "Yeah, no shit. No shit, that's not good. I'll see y'all in jail, I guess. I'm not
And
hacking, I
I'm over
swear.
here.
I don't do that anymore."
Keyword anymore.
Yeah, anymore. That's the big keyword there. I don't do it.
And I'm over here sitting here like, "Man, do I gotta try to put this podcast out by myself now? What the heck?"
I need to make a GoFundMe for her. How would that even work? Accidentally got Apple? I just, I did. I documented everything for my defense. Not saying they were going to come after me at all, because like I said, they really did try to help me. It was more of a problem on their end, and they knew immediately it was a problem on their end. But it's still in the back of my mind because this was just what a day or two after the whole stupid quote unquote what they called a glitch, but it was check fraud for Chase.
Yep.
And I was just like, here we go. It's starting. They're coming after me now. I didn't do nothing. I promise. I'm not the problem today.
Today.
Today, yes, today. I
Maybe
can admit I
tomorrow.
can be the problem. I can be quite the problem.
Maybe tomorrow, not today.
I was just like, oh, here we go. But we're focusing. Rant over. We're going to focus back on our lovely timeline here. And, please forgive me, but that I do tend to rant off sometimes. So we're supposed to be about manga, but we will run off into several different subjects and not always just about parenting. It's just always something else. I have a lot of crazy stories in the save file. Just saying. There's a reason for that. 1967, the Com magazine began, as well as a publishing boom in the young adult manga series.
From 1950 to 1969, An increasingly large readership for manga was established, leading to the division of two main marketing genres: shonen, aimed at boys, and shoujo, dedicated to girls. In shonen, one can find comics that were subdivided according to age: boys up to 18 years old, young men 18 to 30, known as seijin, and adult grown men referred to as seijin, charged with action, adventure, and fighting of all kinds, as well as sports, technology, romance, and sometimes sexuality. These involved one or more male protagonists and helped create the concept of heroes. In shoujo, the female comics were essentially the same way, while their topics and core audience were, of course, female. Thus, we have subcategories like Riditsu and Redikomi and Josei. These themes, like romance, superheroines, and relationships from the female point of view, as well as historical dramas and others.
1970 to the mid 1980, the emergence of boys love manga, which was targeted toward girls and women, featuring romantic relationships between boys.
In 1975, we see the popularization of the ordinary girls in shoujo manga, which started to appear. Ordinary girls are the story of girls becoming women who are anything but ordinary. She's that nerdy girl next door trope that becomes meaningful and special as time goes on. There's something about her that is just powerful, and she ends up reshaping the lives of people that are around her.
Yeah.
As sort of a brief explanation into what the ordinary girl trope is,
Yeah, because
because
I'm
before
over
this
here.
research, I had no idea.
No, she did not. And that's when it hit me that not everybody knows what you know. So,
Oh,
even though I
quite
should
the
already know
dummy.
that. We're just like, oops.
Hey, I claim to be opinionated, not smart.
Well, you don't have to be smart to know facts.
Nope. But again, being relatively new to manga in general in comparison to you.
I mean, yes, but I still just thought the ordinary girls trope was people knew it beyond more than just manga. Like in a lot of like save me type books and stuff like that. A big example would be the ever hating Twilight. The plain Jane girl that anyone who is reading can depict themselves being her, surrounded by hot people who, for some reason, doesn't know why, but they have this full on attraction to her. There's something about her, and they don't really know what, but they just cannot get away from the idea of wanting to be with them or eat them or any of that lovely thing. And she ends up needing to be
Mhm.
saved all the time. So, there you go.
I appreciate the explanation, as I'm sure there might be at least one other person who does.
As we hear crickets in the background.
Hey, if it's just me, at least one person learned something. And now all I can think of is the PBS Kids logo with the shooting star that's like, and now you know.
Yeah.
Dating
I'm
myself
over
with
here
that
like,
reference.
wow,
It's
I'm
okay.
sounding really mean to her. Disclaimer, I
You
am not typically a mean person. I'm just very like to pick on people. It's the way I show love.
Yes. She has been bullying me for years, and every time she does, I'm like, "You still care."
Yes, I will call you an idiot, but then I will turn around and beat someone's ass if they called you an idiot.
Exactly,
But
which I
yes,
appreciate.
I'm not a bully, but I'm a bully.
You are an equal
Very
opportunity bully.
I am. You have every right to come back at me if I come at you kind of deal.
I do, in the
So
fun little ways like annoying voices, etc.
yeah, annoying voices, wanting to hug me
Yeah,
because I don't want to be hugged. And you're like, but I'm going to whenever I see you, but yet you haven't. Haha. But then if I was to let you hug me, you'd be like, okay, am I dying? What's wrong?
right? What has happened?
Who broke my cow?
Who hurt you? Who must I kill?
Right? Last night it was the computer that broke me.
Yep.
Last week it
Uh,
was Apple that killed me. And me and Apple products do not get along with each other. We have an understanding. Let's see. Moving on. 1990 to 1998, with the popularization of boys love manga, manga talking about eating disorders and other serious topics. Fantasy in boys manga, example Love Hina, the world of manga began its diversity and reaches its peak at the end of 1995 thanks to its massive diffusion. Manga are also commonly adapted into animated cartoons, anime, the best known are which Kira, Dragon Ball, Sailor Moon, and anime films of Miyazaki Hayao works, including Princess Mononoke, My Neighbor Totoro, being translated into dubs for Western American culture.
In 2010, the start of manga from paperback to e-reading made it more accessible. Leading into the question of the day: why does some mainstream mangas last longer than others, Kyo?
That is a good question. For next time, I'm just kidding. It's just like, fucking them out. To be honest, it comes down to repetitivity when it comes to, I guess, revamping, reshowing, retelling. Yeah, so two main examples of this, and they're both examples that I'm sure a lot of people would be familiar with that actually are like me, real well versed in manga and stuff like that, would be the Dragon Ball Z franchise versus the Bleach franchise. So Dragon Ball Z franchise, there is like 16 volumes in Dragon Ball from May of 2003 to August of 2004. And the Dragon Ball Z franchise has 26 volumes from May 2003 to June 2006. Now, there is also a Dragon Ball Super manga that is from June of 2015 to the present, because there is some issues going on with that one.
Oh.
Yes. So the creator of Dragon Ball, Akira Toriyama, passed away this year. And it is unclear if the Dragon Ball Z Super manga will continue, like have a plan, that he laid out a plan for the continuation, or if it's going to just be wrapped up in a neat package sooner than later. But time will tell with that. They haven't, to my knowledge, haven't really released any more information since his passing of what they're planning to do and if he had a successor who knew his plans. But considering that both Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z was originally released in Japan in 1985 to 1995. So it's been around a minute.
Yeah, it definitely has been around a while.
Yeah, so it's the most popular of all time, manga-wise, and people do enjoy reading it to this day because obviously it has an somewhat of a continuation going on. Dragon Ball Z is accredited to be one of the most main reasons of manga circulation. It's highest between the mid 1980s to the mid 1990s, probably about 1995 if I had my thought on it. Also, the anime was on constant loop in America during its Toonami heyday. It was pretty much showed a lot. So even the newest people coming in and just watching Toonami probably have memories of seeing probably Dragon Ball or Dragon Ball Z before they knew it was anime. Again, it's like Sailor Moon. It's one of the ones that's usually how people first get into it, is watching.
That's
However,
definitely how I got into it.
yeah, pretty much. So, however, it is not considered a part of the big three. And if everybody's wanting to know, the big three is the biggest animes that have been at the peaks in the 1990s and I think like 2000s, which the big three does consist of Naruto, One Piece, and Bleach, but it's not considered one of the main three, which technically would be four if they considered it. Some people do, some people don't, is because it was released way before they were. So timeline-wise, that's where the issue comes in. Some people say it's the main four because they add it. Some people say it's three because they don't. Now, moving
I
on to
mean,
our
I guess
second.
that's fair.
Yeah, so moving on to our second example would be Bleach, which is a part of the big three. Bleach was finished with 74 volumes from August of 2001 to 2016. Though it became popular with its release in the Shonen Jump manga, it loss of the original anime's adaptation hurt Bleach's popularity. However, currently there is an announcement for the 1,000-Year Blood War's third season, titled The Conflict, is to premiere in October of 2024. We could possibly see a fluctuation in the mainstream popularity and newer anime and manga fans becoming curious enough to go back and pick up the originals for the first time. The same thing happened once before with the revival of Sailor Moon and other mangas once the licensing issues became fixed.
So the licensing issues are basically when they switched over companies
Yeah, for the most part.
for
It's
some.
so when companies either A, die off or get sold off, they don't exactly get all the licensing immediately. So it becomes like a bidding war for other companies to come in and get the licenses. And sometimes it's just not feasible. Sailor Moon didn't have a continuation for years. With the anime, just for the simple fact of licensing. I don't really remember
That's
if it
fair.
was nobody picking it up or nobody could afford it. It became nothing but a fight. And then
I could see that.
once it got bought, finally, it was reanimated. So,
I feel like I've seen a lot of things being re-released by Yen Press.
well, Bleach wasn't, I don't believe Bleach was a licensing issue. I think Bleach was just got dropped. It wasn't making enough audience members watch it, especially I think on Toonami at the time, or at least on Cartoon Network.
Hmm.
So it kind of just lost its popularity and it got dropped. I don't really know what the big issue was with it. I just know that it kind of just dropped and a lot of people were unhappy about it. But if you were a true fan, you probably read the manga, so you knew the ending. But like a lot of people, you can ask somebody on the street about Dragon Ball Z, and they could probably say, something about flying people. I guess something with the hair. They scream a lot. There's at least a generalization of understanding of, hey, this is at least something. Versus Bleach,
Yeah.
they'd be like, so the cleaning product.
Exactly. Like,
So
"Oh, you mean like those flying ninja samurai looking guys?" Versus like, "I have no idea."
right, right, cleaning product called Bleach. Where's the cleaning product?
You had how many manga about a cleaning product? Is this like Mr. Clean all up in here? Not
Ooh,
sponsored.
Mr. Cleaning have a manga. That'd be interesting. Yeah, not sponsored, but damn.
But I do find it interesting though that some things do manage to withstand the test of time, and it seems to be mostly when something almost seems like when it's released to the Western audiences that it picks up so much more popularity, and then it seems to get the remakes.
Well, yeah, there is that. And it's the fandom. A lot of it has to do with the fandom because without the fandom, you're not going to sell anything. You're not going to make the money. You're not going to be able to make, maybe a movie or two that you want to do or a game or anything like that because it is all about the fandom, but the fandom can overdo it. So that's where like you have like the trope of the not really trope, but you have like, oh, you must watch Dragon Ball, No, I don't say that. As I don't want to say Narutards because that's what a lot of people used to call the Naruto fans.
Mhm.
But it's just at some point, even if it's not new. Let's see. Let's use it's not really Japanese at all, but Has Been Hotel.
Yes.
When that got released, I personally love it. When it got released, it had a fluctuation of people who became immediate fandoms. And what does that do? That makes networks think that it's going to make them a ton of money. So they try to put in more agreements for seasons if they hadn't already. I think they have planned 3 seasons out, even though they're only releasing one at the time. Something like
Mhm.
that. And then you have your cosplay based fans who are going to cosplay the crap out of the biggest, newest thing, especially if they look similar to the character or act like the character at all. And then that's what goes into bigger issues with cons, which, that's a whole other can of beans. Again,
Mhm.
please, anyone that goes to cons, do not just assume that you can go up and hug a cosplay character or touch them inappropriately or even beg for their picture. You can ask kindly. Yeah, you give respect, you get respect. Yeah, then you got your fanfic fans who are going to take randomized characters and make them fall in love with each other in ways that you don't even want to know. Fanfiction is there for a reason. I don't really troll myself into that too often because it can get a little interesting. Then you have your concept artists who draw the character in certain ways of light, certain ways, certain colors, certain outfits, certain pairing. Then you have I feel like I'm missing one. I guess the overzealous fan that's gonna buy every poster, every manga, every adaptation is going to be to every single con, going to be all the shows, going to be the panel listings, going to be there with the questions, going to want answers, going to be the theorist people. There's a list, and all of them come together in a lovely circle for monetization, the lovely thing that makes the
Mhm.
money. And without them, you got nothing. It's true. Without them, you got nothing.
Yeah. If it's not gonna sell, it's not gonna get made.
Yeah. And you see that fluctuation for maybe like the first year. The first year cons, you get a big fluctuation of, usually that's when you know what's going to be big for the rest of the con season. Because usually, like right now, it has been Hotel. It used to be Bleach. It used to Dragon Ball. It's every year. It's every year a new flux of fans grabs something and holds on to it tightly, thinking it's going to be the best thing ever made in the century of mankind. Not saying it's not. That's what they do. And you get those.
Everybody has.
And then it goes down because then the next surge of people come in. It's fluctuating every year depending on what's mainstream. Either you make it or you don't.
Exactly.
Ooh, I
Yeah.
feel like I ranted for a minute.
It was a pretty in-depth rant, but well worth it.
Well, I mean, it's in its facts. I mean, I've been to quite a few cons and I've cosplayed a few characters in my time. So for me, it's like, well, and I've had people walk up to me and ask for my picture nicely. I've had people walk up to me and inappropriately grab me in certain ways, and I have had fans come up and be like, so calls you by the character name and then just assumes that you're going to take on the role of the character and be like, where's so and so at right now, even though it's not that serious, bruh.
Mhm.
You've had the people that come up while you're trying to eat. You're in the middle of eating a sandwich and they want to, or whatever you have at cons that you're eating, and they want to take a picture with you. So it's one of those where it's like, unless you've been on that side of the fan base, coming in as a fan, you don't know how it can come off sometimes.
Yeah.
So, like, if they're like, oh, not right now, I'm eating, just be like, okay, cool. Whenever you're ready, I'll try to catch you later. Bye.
Oh, exactly.
Especially with women, because there is some cons, and I hate that it's a thing, but there is some con that I've been to where, as girls, we would have to be in a group, either with a couple of our guy friends or just a group of girls in general, going back to our hotel together. We could not be separated because someone would follow us back to our hotel room. Like, there is
Yeah,
creeps out there. It's a whole thing.
definitely.
Yeah. Okay, that's all I got to say. I don't know if you want to end on creeps.
Oh, I get super enthusiastic about things, I guess, as far as the longevity goes. Yeah, as far as, the longevity goes for certain animes or even, mangas, what this podcast is about.
Right.
Dummy.
Deviate so bad.
Um where there is that sense of I find that a lot of the mangas that I've seen that seem to do really well either have characters that have very relatable traits to them or they're exceptionally tropey, but in a way that is still entertaining. And I find when I look up different mangas that have been around for a long time or that still hold popularity, that seems to be what it is, where you have these people that are relatable, that are maybe stereotypically in a certain role, but it's done so well that it doesn't feel like it's overplayed or that it's completely a burnt out thing. And I think that has a part of it too. I mean, even look at our manga of the month. It's a very sort of tropey-esque will they won't they romance to a degree. There's a bunch of other aspects of it that do fall into that kind of, oh, this is definitely going to happen, oh, this is going to happen kind of trope, but it's still done in a very amusing way where even if it is predictable, it's still a fun read. And I think that has a lot to do with it too.
Yeah, I agree. Fruits Basket, yeah, is one of the higher up there when it comes to popularity because it is also another high tropey one. Relatable characters. You hate them or you don't. I mean, it's an easier one to cosplay for fan base. It's just it hits. It just hits all the points that it should hit. And it's a cute story. And it gets people interested in the Chinese zodiac. It gets people interested in how a character can develop depending on their past experiences. Which way could it go? Just because you had a bad past doesn't mean you're going to be a bad person.
Exactly. And the things that these characters end up having to go through are so relatable sometimes to real life or experiences that you as a reader have had that it allows you to connect in deeper with these characters. And so it's easier to pick up and reread or want to get more into the franchise and kind of keep it alive in that aspect. Because, I mean, even the original set of releases for both the manga for Fruits Basket and the release of the original anime, plus the re release later on, kind of shows that there is still that core that it wants to keep going and that it's got those diehard fans that want to see what's happened and kind of keep up with their favorite characters and everything else.
Yeah, because I mean, the original anime was the gateway into people reading the manga, and it really was. It was a gateway into a lot of people because a lot of people didn't have access to the manga. I mean, heck, a lot of people didn't even have access to the Shonen Jump unless you had a subscription. A lot of stuff pulled in a fan base originally from anime. So I think that was always like the core of it. You want to know more of this story? Then you better read the manga because this anime is going to
Mhm.
cut off here, and you're never going to get the ending to your not even really a love triangle. The fact basis of when it comes to a love triangle is that it has to connect. So, like, let's say she loves him, but he loves the other guy, but the other guy loves her. Like, that's the love triangle
Mhm.
originally in its trope. So it's not really considered a love triangle, a love angle.
It's a very acute angle.
There you go. Yeah. Go
Boom.
back to math. Putting math in manga.
Don't you love that grade 5 fact right there, guys? It's
All
so great. I
right.
brought it back. Brought it back.
Bringing back useless facts of math in
Don't worry, on
manga.
next week episode, we're gonna do taxes. No, I'm kidding.
Oh my god. No, it's not. It's not. I don't want our lovely readers to think they start owing the IRS money. I can't.
If I
We
manage
want to
to owe
keep
the
the
IRS
following, not
money,
lose the following.
if I manage to owe the IRS something, I've really fucked up because that's not even the same country.
Yeah, that's where me and you differ. They know where I live. It may take them a minute.
Not really. If they just kind of looked into the border services, I'm in there.
There you go.
I'm in there, Beans in there, all because I don't feel like waiting in line.
I feel that.
But let's just fast track this shit. His is free up until he's 18, so.
Yeah.
If you made it this far in the episode, we want to say thank you. We couldn't do this without your support. If you'd like to subscribe and become an official Manga Mommies member, the link will be in the show notes. For Manga of the Month, the PDF, copy, or free website will be located below. If you feel up to it, like, subscribe, or share our podcast so we can find more people just like you. We hope you have a great rest of your day, whatever time that happens to be, and we can't wait to see you next week.
Stay tuned, and thanks for listening.